Today is Tuesday, August the 26th. The time is 6:01 p.m. Calling the meeting to order. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Led by Commissioner Ackery.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Ackery?
Here.
Commissioner Downing? Commissioner Smith? Here. Commissioner Tebby?
Here.
Mayor Washington?
Here.
We have our quorum and are duly qualified to conduct business.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes from August the 12th, 2025.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Vice Mayor Smith.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Tebby. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next part of our agenda is the public comments. Before we begin public comment, I want to remind everyone of the rules set forth in City Ordinance 30.08. Each speaker will have up to 3 minutes to address the City Commission. The entire public comment period is limited to 30 minutes. Please be respectful of these time limits so that everyone has an opportunity to speak. Comments must be directed to the Commission as a whole, not to individual commissioners, staff, or other members of the public. Personal attacks, defamation, name-calling, or questioning someone's motives are not permitted. We welcome disagreement and diverse perspectives, but all remarks must remain civil and focused on the issue at hand. Audience participation such as applause, cheering, shouting, or heckling is not allowed, as it discourages others from sharing their views. These rules are not meant to silence anyone. They exist so that everyone has a fair chance to be heard in a safe, respectful, and productive environment. With that, we will now open the floor for public comments. Our first speaker is Mohammed Ahmed.
Muhammad Ahmad, 729 Edgecliff Road here in Covington. Mayor Washington, I once heard from someone that life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward. So if we're going to move forward and actually progress, we have to reflect backwards. In recent reflections, I really thought of an interesting analogy to your perverted parasitic connection between you and former Vice Mayor Steve Frank. I think of Steve as the dominant yet gravely insecure, hate-filled bully and bigot. And then I think of you as the submissive member of the group. One could also argue that the relationship is a little complicated, to say the least, because you being the submissive, fearful one, yet seeking love from the dominant one, in this case, Steve. When
That's enough.
No.
Personal attacks.
It's not an
Have
attack.
a seat. Have a seat. Have a seat.
Please
take your seat. Have a seat.
Can I not finish?
No, you can't.
Why? I'm not attacking.
Chief Weeholter.
I'm leaving.
Mr. Hull is our next speaker.
Hi, everyone. I'm here to talk about the Bavarian Lofts project, specifically what we heard in the presentation last week. I emailed Commissioner Downing. We talked a little bit about it, expressed some of my concerns, but I wanted to come here. Basically, I've got a couple of bullet points based off of things that I heard, either from other people who've heard from people in and around that project or from some math I've done. One, I do know, as near as I can tell, I'm being told that the county has a large stake in this project, and I'm just curious if there is any legal concern about giving a pilot to the project. In that, if the commission feels like looking into that, that would be great. I've heard about it for a while, and nothing in this, nothing I've ever heard has made it a theoretical project, which leads me to believe it would be built regardless of whether or not we offer the pilot. So I would be concerned about why we would offer it then in the first place. In my mind, any project that is already capable of being done without the money doesn't need it, and that can be reserved for projects where it's a more vital component. I do have concern with the 30, 50, 80 terms, that there will be a high likelihood that the project could change hands very quickly and very frequently while people are trying to get access to the increased profit from that lower tax level. I am a little skeptical of the anticipated economic impact. I would be interested to hear how much capacity, like occupancy, that was based off of. Its proximity to on and off ramps for the highway strike me as a place that people who want to live maybe close to work, but not necessarily spend their time or money in Covington might find more attractive than people who want to spend their money in the city. The last one would be the use of the median versus the mean. We used the mean for that presentation. I find that to be a little disingenuous. Covington sees a large population spike in the $100,000 to $250,000 per year income range, as demonstrated by the city's own numbers. I'm happy to forward them. I pulled them and sent them to Tim. Sorry, it's going to make me look at it. There we go. It's $20,000 higher than the average. And as I understand it, we are very concerned in the city with providing housing for the average Covington resident, not the median Covington resident. To give an example, at the proposed $2.20 per square foot, and assuming 30% of gross income applied to your housing, which is high. That is what I would consider at the top end of what I would recommend to anyone I know. I usually shoot for 25% or lower. The average income earning household, not individual earner, would be able to afford 660 square feet in this building. I don't know if you have looked at proposed floor plans, but there are going to be a few efficiencies that meet that. Beyond that, it would be outside the range. The average household should not be living in a one-room efficiency. Household implies at least two people, if not two people and one or more children. Basically, as near as I can tell, I just don't see a benefit for the city of Covington, like any large benefit here, that is not already going to happen with the stakeholders building this building on their own.
Thank you,
and
Mr.
I say we should let them do it on their own.
Thank you. Mr. Hull, for the record, can you please state your address?
Yeah, it's 901 Baker Street.
Thank you. Mr. Schaefer?
Mayor, Commissioners, thanks for your time. My name is James Schaefer. I live at 19 West Pike Street. I'm here to talk again about the entertainment district. As I spoke about last time, I think that this is a solution in want of a problem, and I think it's an outsized solution. I think in looking at this map, this is a 40-acre district. It abuts one church. It comes within a block of two other churches, and it involves more than 2 miles of curb. I know that because over the past couple of weeks, I have walked those curbs and I have tried to talk to as many of the residents and businesses as I can. And there has been a mixed response from folks. But I think one of the most concerning things is how few of these businesses and residents knew this was happening. As someone who works on the zoning board, I feel like there was more knowledge sort of about a curb cut from zoning than there was about this thing, which has a potential huge impact on the city. Overall, though, my sense from folks is that this has been a negative response. I think that that is largely the moment in time. We are seeing stories regionally and nationally about chaos in cities. Whether those stories are valid and not, they are drawing the attention to cities, and people don't want to see those stories replicated here in Covington, which has already had some news stories we, I think, rather would have not had. And I think none of us want to become the banks or kind of see those stories like the banks here. There is an exception to that. There is a deep-pocketed investor who has done a lot for Covington, and I think whose voice should be heard, but would like to see sort of their investments right on Madison be able to benefit from something like this. Again, my bias is that I think this is something that we don't need for 5 or 10% increase in beer returns, but if we do think that this is something we need, I think there is a vision for a much smaller model of this. We could have a district that extends from East Pike Street in Madison, so including Revival, and then extending along that side of the street to East 8th and Madison, covering Hotel Covington, covering the Madison Event Center, and covering the Madison Theater. That would be a much easier area to police, and it would also be an area where those stakeholders would be able to take care of sort of litter and vandalism on their own. I know that all of you care about Covington as much as I do, and I think this is a time when we could err on the side of caution rather than overstretching ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brandon Gallis, 212 Covington Avenue. Good evening, Council. My name is Brandon. I'm here on behalf of some of my fellow neighbors along 4th Street and Covington Avenue. And I'm here to raise just a concern about recent flooding that's been occurring this month. We've had some spectacular photos of how torrential the downpour has been, but the aftermath has been a lot of homes on 4th Street and Covington Avenue have backed up with flooding, with the worst house having 3 feet of water back up into it. And this is something that in the 8 years that I've lived on the street haven't had a problem, and many other people who have been on the street for much longer haven't had a problem that severe. We reached out to Public Works to just kind of see what's going on, because we're so close to the IRS property and the new SD1 installation that has occurred. We just want to make sure that this isn't going to be something that's going to be ongoing. So we talked to Keith about it just to kind of see if they'd heard from SD1 anything about what the root cause was. And then I also reached out to SD1, but have not heard back yet, just to kind of see if there was a failure that occurred or if this is a design flaw. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That concludes public comments. We'll now move to the next portion of our agenda. Presentations. Seeing no presentations, is that correct? We'll go to the city manager's report.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Just a couple items to report. 1257 and 1261 Pike Street. We are moving forward with demolition of the structures on those properties. Our fire department, our building inspectors at PBS, and our legal services folks inspected the property and deemed it in need of emergency demolition. So our ordinance allows us to proceed in such a manner because it's an emergency situation. Just wanted to let you all know about that. Bill Capital, in case our folks are interested in an update on that, the state's contractor has completed their survey and their wetland delineation, and based on that report, they will be figuring out a work plan for billing. And so the state also plans to host a public meeting, which I'm sure there will be a lot of interest in our community for. So Public Works is staying on top of it, and we will make sure that the board gets out about that when it is scheduled. And then the last thing to report is on the Juvenile House project. We were notified that we've been awarded the state the America's Treasures Grant from the National Park Service in the full amount of $300,000, and that will be matched by the Ad District and the Little Ownership as well. So that project is moving along. And that's all I had, unless you have any questions.
Very good news. Any questions for the CM? Commissioner Ackery.
Yes, ma'am. The demos, the demos over on 1257, is there a time frame for those?
We're hoping to get it done in the next 2 weeks.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other questions for the city manager? Seeing none. On to the consent agenda. Madam Clerk, will you please report?
In order approving the hire of Andrew Bettinghouse as finance technician in the finance department, effective August 27, 2025. In order approving the hire of Brianna Schweitzer as business administrator in the public works department, effective August 27, 2025. In order approving the hire of Katie Cardis as personnel specialist in the human resources department, effective September 2, 2025. In order approving the hire of Jody Comstock as personnel specialist in the human resources department, effective September 2nd, 2025. In order approving a 180-day extension to the agreement with Adleta Construction for the Madison Avenue Streetscape project. In order approving a 180-day extension to the agreement with Adleta Construction for the 7th Street Streetscape project. In order authorizing the mayor to execute an economic development agreement with Adams Law, PLLC, providing a jobs development incentive. In order authorizing the mayor to execute a grant agreement with the Northern Kentucky Workforce Investment Board for workforce development initiatives benefiting Covington residents and businesses. In order, the Board of Commissioners of the City of Covington, Kentucky, authorizing and approving the issuance of taxable industrial building revenue bonds in one series to be issued in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $7,200,000, the proceeds of which shall be used to finance the acquisition, construction, installation, and improvements of an industrial building facility or facilities to be leased to the Steel Yard LLC, a Kentucky limited liability company, its affiliates, successors, and/or assigns, authorizing and approving a lease agreement, a bond purchase agreement, and such other related documents, certificates, and agreements, and authorizing such other actions necessary or required related to the issuance of the bonds and the financing of the project, including but not limited to a fee joinder to the mortgage and other customary and commercially reasonable documents in favor of the lender providing financing to the project, with the understanding that the issuance of the bonds shall be conditioned upon compliance with the terms of the pilot agreement. An order authorizing the submission of a text amendment application to the Kenton County Planning Commission. An order approving the hire of William Smith as Grade 1 firefighter in the Covington Fire Department, effective August 27, 2025.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I think there's going to be an amendment to the agenda. Just one moment, please. Is it item 3? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda and delete item 3. May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Tebby. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Ackrey. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, new business.
In order agreeing to undertake the issuance of industrial building revenue bonds at the appropriate time to pay the costs of constructing, equipping, and installing of a project adding more than 48 units or more to the stock of residential multifamily housing units and taking other preliminary action.
May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Tebby. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Ackrey. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk.
In order appointing City Manager Sharmali Reddy to the Alcohol Beverage Control Board, effective August 27, 2025.
May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Vice Mayor Smith.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Ackrey. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Madam Clerk.
In order appointing Police Chief Justin Wheatholder to the Alcoholic Beverage Control Board, effective August 27, 2025.
May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Vice Mayor Smith. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Tebby. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 1, Commissioner Ackrey.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to take the CCA agenda off the table. We're planning to have another public meeting in an effort to get some answers to residents that have questioned, as well as consider recommendations that we received from the community. So at this time, I'd like to remove this item from the agenda.
I have a motion by Commissioner Ackrey. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Seeing no discussion, will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Ackrey?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Tebby?
Aye.
Mayor Washington?
Aye. Motion carries. Next order of business is commission discussion. Does any of the commissioners have any discussions? Commissioner Ackrey.
Yeah, I wanted to, there's been some communications between each one of us individually, and I wanted to bring it up publicly about the gate behind Hotel Covington. And it's obstructing, obviously, walkers as well as bikers and skateboarders and all the other items that pass around that area. So I just would like to recommend, or at least request, that it's looked into and how that was installed, and And if we can do something other than a gate, i.e. bollards or something to keep traffic out of the area, I understand why it's there, but it's blocking the use of the alley, and that's unfair to our residents. So,
Vice Mayor Smith?
And I'll just add to that. I've seen some businesses placing barricades of sorts within the alleys, and I just want to make sure that we've got a formal process that we go through to assure that it's done the right way and not arbitrarily, because there are some alleys that I've driven through recently, and business owners or even residents have placed various items to make sure that folks couldn't pass. So I just want to make sure that we have a process and we look into that, as Commissioner Ackery mentioned, and that's all I've got.
Thank you. Any other discussion items? I have one. Mr. Gale has brought this up in public comments regarding the flooding in basements along 4th Street. We also received, at the same time, flooding in basements in the Mainstrasse area. Talking to the Public Works Director, and I hate to put him on the spot, maybe we have this answer, maybe we don't. He's coming forward if you don't mind. Director, can you please bring us up to date on that?
Mr. Mayor, as recently as this afternoon, we've been in touch with the sanitation district, and they are investigating the situation. There's really not been any final determination as far as what occurred. We have some ideas, but it's conjecture, I really shouldn't say, but they are investigating it, and we will hopefully know something relatively soon. But you're correct, it's been very widespread from a couple of the recent rain events, from 4th and 5th Street all the way over to Mainstrasse. We're real anxious to hear what the result is of the investigation.
Okay. Any questions for the director? Seeing none? Okay. Thank you, Director. Appreciate it. Also, one other item, to Mr. Hull's comments. He mentioned about the project on 12th Street and concerning, the county government owns the property. That's correct. The county does own the property. So when IRBs, industrial revenue bonds, are asked for, applied for in the city, it's not an automatic. We have an ordinance that guides our staff on the application process. So our professional staff will look at the project to see if the project can make it without the industrial revenue bond. So it goes through a system. If the system even becomes too complicated, and then we will send that outside to have those numbers evaluated. And that's at the charge, and we charge the developers for that. So before it gets here, staff makes a recommendation whether or not the IRBs can go forward or should go forward to make the project work. So we evaluate that. Now at that time, it's up to your elected officials to decide, do we want to give this project the IRB based on that information? And at least this person looks at it from the whole of the city. Is this something that would fit well into our city? Should it be given an industrial revenue bond? This particular property, it was not producing any taxes whatsoever because it was county owned. So that's one thing that factored into my decision. The other thing that factored in my decision was that there's a lot of money that is spent on the parking garage that is attached to this. I think it would be surprising to people to learn that on an average, a space in a parking garage to build costs approximately anywhere from $55,000 to $65,000. So we have to consider that when we are deciding if we do an industrial revenue bond. In other words, do we take this non-tax producing piece of property and make it tax producing for the overall city? So that's how we kind of look at those things. Now to the speaker, Mr. Hull, I would encourage you also to feel free to reach out to our staff, and they can explain that system that they use a little bit more about how they evaluate the numbers. And I appreciate you coming and bringing that. So, other than that, I see no comments. We're going to go into executive session. Can I have a motion for the commission to go into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.8101, subsection C and F, for the purpose of discussing proposed or pending litigation involving the city and discussions that might lead to the appointment, dismissal, or discipline or an individual employee? May I have a motion?
A motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Ackery, second by Commissioner Smith. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. With that, we will take a recess where we are going into executive session. And upon conclusion of the executive session, we will not be coming back into regular session. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.